Hello, this is Brave Sir Robin coming to you from Parts Unknown. Here today with something I haven't done in a while. I'm doing a DVD review for Pro Wrestling Superstars the Freshman Phenom, brought to you by Highspots. So far this is the first and only show these guys have put out, and let's talk about it and maybe we could try to figure out why that is. So the first match of the night, we have Caleb Conley versus Lee Valiant. And the first thing I'm going to point out with this match is these guys are both really generic. The only way I can tell a difference between these two is because Lee Valiant actually has his name on his tights. That was good of him to do. For an opener, the match was just fine, but really, I'm not given any reason to care about either guys. One part that does stand out to me is when Conley had Valiant on the outside and did the Arabian moonsault onto him. You know, the move where he like bounces off the ropes in almost a sitting position and then flips over and lands on his opponent. That's a fine enough move, but it's the same move done by Christopher Daniels, who's on this same event. Like, I know in the indie level, a lot of guys are going to repeat a lot of the same moves on a lot of the same spots, but it shouldn't be from somebody who's on the same show as you. It just makes it look really amateurish and tacky. Like, I thought these guys were supposed to get together backstage and make sure stuff like this doesn't happen, so obviously that didn't happen, or they just didn't care. I don't know what's up with that, but the match itself was just fine for an opener. It was actually Conley that win with a gory special into a version of the surfboard, and it was a pretty cool move sequence. Pretty much the only highlight of this unspectacular match, though, and not bad, but not memorable either. So the next match we have Kevin Michaels versus Donnie Steamboat. Donnie Steamboat. It's like somebody looked at this guy and said, well, I guess he looks kind of Hawaiian. Let's call him Steamboat. The only Steamboat son I'm aware of is Richie Steamboat, so maybe this guy's like a cousin or a long-lost relative or something. I don't know. He does bust out some surprisingly decent chain wrestling, but the guy's no Steamboat. The fans are chanting Kevin, 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 so I guess Steamboat's the heel. If you're going to have somebody imitate Ricky Steamboat, why would you be a heel? Ricky Steamboat was never a heel in his entire career. And he doesn't even do any good Steamboat moves either. It's actually Kevin Michaels that busts out the flying cross body, and he doesn't even win with it. Actually, Steamboat wins the match with an Oklahoma roll of all things. Match was okay, I guess, but again, nothing special. But so next up, we have the team of El Generico and Paul London, together known as the Danger Bees, and they're defending the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Tag Team titles against the team of the Man Scout, Jake Manning, and Joey Sylvia. Jake Manning, he's dressed as a Boy Scout troop leader. He's got the vest on, he's got a hat, he's got a scout manual with him, he's doing the signs and all that. Just looks kind of creepy to me, though. And Jake Manning, of course, he's also the backstage interview for $5 Wrestling, which is also brought to you by Highspots, and that's a promise. I will get to $5 Wrestling someday. Can't wait for that. So the match goes on like pretty much a lot of the Danger Bee matches do, with Generico actually carrying most of the workload, and London's just goofing around. He doesn't seem to even care. He's just collecting a paycheck and that's it. Or maybe he's just on something and trying to do as little as he can. I don't know. Maybe he's winning. I don't know. It's not a bad match with Generico in there. They win the match with Generico hitting the brain buster and London doing the shooting star press, so it's cool that he busted that out. It's not bad, but I think because El Generico's in the match, he's one of those indie MVPs who, like, pretty much everything he's on, he's putting out the best effort. He's the highlight of every match he's in, if not the night, and this is one of those cases here too. But other than that, the rest of the match is pretty skippable. I mean, it's alright, but that's it. Other than El Generico, there's really no reason to watch this match. Now here's where things are going to start to get a bit painful. We start off with TNA's Cookie in the ring, aka Becky Bayless. She appears to be cutting a heel promo, but due to crowd noise, it totally drowns her out and you can't pick out a word she says. This is one of those things you see on indie DVDs a lot, and I hate to see this, because now I can't even tell what she's saying. This goes on for way too long, to the point where I end up having to fast forward for it. Eventually, she introduces the Necro Butcher. So now here's a strange random pairing. I guess Necro Butcher is unofficially a part of the Shore now. Might as well be, I guess. And his opponent, of course, is none other than the innovator of violence himself, Tommy Dreamer, in what's being billed as a hardcore dream match. I don't know who dreamed about this match, but that's what they're telling us. The match itself, it's like, you remember those old WWF brawls, when they had the hardcore title, the cartoony brawls, that they go outside the ring, they just hit each other with random things till somebody falls down. It's pretty much that in the cartoony type fashion. They're keeping it family friendly, obviously. Then you're not going to see like Tommy and the Necro Butcher bleeding buckets and going crazy, because there's kids in the crowd and there's a family atmosphere. we get a few chair shots in that, and there's some minor interference from Cookie, but then Tommy Dreamer wins with a DDT. I don't want to call the match good, but I'd say it could have been worse. The promo was pointless because you can't even hear what she's saying, and that's about it. So coming up next as a bit of a breather, we have Cedric Alexander versus Osiris. I'm not familiar with either of these guys, and this is one of those matches that gives me a hard time when I'm doing reviews. It's like, let me try to explain this. If a match is good, I got something to talk about. If a match is bad, I got something to talk about. Like, I don't want to say these guys aren't putting any effort into the match. They're working hard, they're doing good, but nothing memorable about it. There's just, they have a match, that's it. The only thing I'm really noting is that this happens in every other match of the night, but this is where I'm really noticing it now, and I'll point it out now. One of the commentators, I didn't even catch the commentators' names, he keeps criticizing the face wrestlers, keeps saying, oh, he's playing to the crowd, he should be trying to win, or he's trying to be a nice guy, he should be trying to win. And he does this over and over and over throughout the entire night. He really, like, we get it, it's a good point to make. I mean, he's probably trying to do a take on the famous Jesse Ventura, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat, but he just repeats it over and over, and it doesn't work. Like, you get sick of him saying it. I don't know. So the only highlight of this match is that the bad commentary stands out. It's not boding well for the match. I hate to disrespect the two wrestlers. I hope I'm not disrespecting them, but the match didn't do anything. Like, when I watched this DVD to do the review, was the second time I ever watched it. When I got to this match, I didn't remember this at all. Like, everything else, I was like, when I get to this match, I'm going to talk about this. When I get to this match, I'm going to talk about this. This match, I didn't even remember. And when I got to it, it's like, oh yeah. So that's it. That's all you could say about the match. It wasn't bad, but they had a nice ending where Osiris wins with a version of the Unprettier. He, like, hooks the guy, has his head under his armpit, though, and then drops him down on his back. It's one of those indie moves that's I can't really describe without demonstrating, and I got no way to demonstrate it. It doesn't save the match, but it, like I said, after you're done watching it, 5 minutes later, you'll totally forget it even happened, especially with what we got coming up later. So now we have one of the top build matches of the DVD. We have Shelton Benjamin against the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. And right away the announcer criticizes both guys again for trying to impress the fans and not trying to win. Yes, we get it. Seriously, you can make a drinking game out of this guy. So it's a very good match, of course. So both guys, these guys are excellent. You couldn't ask. This is the best match on this card by far, I think. Maybe the Danger Bees, but I think this is the best match. Daniels ends up healing it up a bit. He uses some dastardly tactics, but really the crowd keeps cheering him anyway, so it goes unnoticed. The heel announcer approves, of course. They do a lot of their signature moves. Shelton kicks out of the Angel's Wings, which actually surprised me. Daniels later goes for the BME, the best moonsault ever, but Shelton moves. Then Daniels lands on his feet, and Shelton comes out of the corner and hits Daniels with that move R-Truth uses, that jumping flatliner, I guess is the best way to call it. It's hard to it's just one of those quick moves that it just happens, and you'd just be surprised to see it as a finisher, I think, but it's not bad. Very good match, and to be honest, I think it went unappreciated by the young crowd, which is a shame. Both guys are good. Two of the best in the world having a good match for the first time ever. And I'll give a thumbs up to this match of anything on this DVD. So now we're on to the main event. So I have an event that features such names like Paul London, Tommy Dreamer, and the first ever meeting between Shelton Benjamin and Christopher Daniels. Can you guess what the main event of this show is? We have Mickie James versus Amber O'Neal. Did somebody really look at this list of names and think, yeah, Mickie James, that's the biggest star on this show. Nothing against Mickie, but just seems like an odd choice to me. So mid-introductions, the Necro Butcher comes back and punches out the referee and then carries him out. And this leads to Cookie returning wearing a referee shirt. And this leads to long, excruciating shenanigans. Seriously, this match really suffers because of this. I've seen Amber O'Neal in action before. She's okay. She's not great, but not bad by any means. She can, when working with the right wrestlers, she can put on a decent match. Mickie James used to be good. I remember Wrestlemania 23. I thought her match with Trish Stratus was the best match of that night. So that tells you something there. But I guess somewhere in between then and now, for her years wrestling all the untrained models in the WWE, I guess she just stopped caring and got worse or something. Or maybe she's just phoning it in tonight, which isn't good either. I mean, it's the inaugural show of these guys and the main event, and she just doesn't seem to care. She's just going through the motions. So it's bad enough that the girls are wrestling poorly, with this whole thing with Cookie going on just makes everything much worse. It's like very apparent that Cookie's favoring Amber O'Neil. I never even knew her and Mickie were even feuding. At times Mickie could have won the match, but she'll do like a slow count, or she'll be looking away or something. Mickie endures, of course. I keep thinking some other face wrestler is going to come out and make odds even, but Mickie pulls through on her own. And so it never really happens. We get a spot where Cookie's looking away and Amber O'Neil gets a loaded purse and swings at Mickie, who ducks and then hits Amber O'Neil with a spinning kick. Then Cookie's not even looking. She starts like just looking the opposite direction. 1, 2. Then she looks and like, oh my god, no. But then Mickie grabs her hand and finishes the count herself. It was definitely no Steve Austin versus Dude Love from Unforgiven or whatever pay-per-view that was a couple years ago. Definitely not as good as that. So that's the match. I guess that counts. I'm just glad the match was over. It wasn't very good. The whole thing with Cookie was totally unneeded. I think Amber O'Neil and Mickie James could have had a decent match on their own, and they didn't need to go through all this. I don't know why they chose to go this route, especially the main event. It wasn't very good. So that was Pro Wrestling Superstars, the Freshman Phenom. Like I said, the first and only event these guys ended up putting out. It wasn't a great show by any mean, but all the same, it wasn't very good either. I'd say unless you're a fan of Christopher Daniels and Shelton Benjamin and want to really see the match between them, I'd say avoid this DVD, to be honest. It's available through Highspots. It's available through Ring of Honor. The only way I got it was because they did like a 30% off sale on Ring of Honor, and I got it then because I was curious about that match, but the rest of the DVD is just not very good. The crowd is there, they're into it, but I guess this is one of those cases where they brought in a bunch of big-name wrestlers, spent all the money on that, and didn't make it back. Because if you go to this website for Pro Wrestling Superstars, there's no upcoming events, they just hype in this one still. So what does that tell you? I don't know, they made some weird decisions, like making the main event the way it was. I would have put, personally, Shelton and Christopher Daniels in the main event, but it's not my choice, so... All the same, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. Wasn't great. One good match that saved it. One bad main event. So this is Brave Sir Robin signing off.